Hey everybody, it's Jimmy Panetta. I am the United States Representative for California's 19th Congressional District. As you can see, it stretches pretty much from San Jose to Santa Cruz to Monterey, all the way down to the northern San Luis Obispo border. Obviously, as you can see from the map behind me, I got a lot of oceans, and so making sure that not just our coastline is protected, but that our oceans are protected is very, very important to me. So I really want to thank you for this opportunity to be with Greenpeace, and thanks for your work. But also, I'm sorry that I can't be with you in person as you gather there in the East Bay tonight for your event on the critical ocean justice issue. Look, I think we all know that forced labor and human trafficking of migrant fishers on the high seas is a pretty horrific and horrible human rights issue that must be stopped. That's why it's so important to put a spotlight on these unacceptable human rights and labor violations by giving a voice to groups like the Indonesian Migrant Workers Labor Union, SBMI. That's also why I'm in Washington, D.C. I'm working hard to make sure that Congress actually lives up to our shared responsibility to combat human trafficking by curbing imports produced with forced labor and sanctioning the companies and individuals that are responsible for those acts. Look, in 2024, I led a bipartisan group of lawmakers so that we investigate serious allegations of forced labor on the high seas and seafood processing within China's seafood supply chains. I believe Congress has a duty to investigate these serious allegations, especially when it's part of a CCP-sponsored effort to subjugate the Uyghur population. I also take my role seriously in leading the annual appropriations request to fund NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's implementation of the Seafood Import Monitoring Program and the accelerated development and deployment of NOAA's Global Seafood Data System, otherwise known as GSDS. The funding for those programs are absolutely critical to keep our food supply chains free from illegally caught seafood and seafood produced with forced labor. Look, this is not just an important human rights issue, it's an economic one as well. As you know, illegal fishing practices cost coastal nations $10 billion with a B, to $23 billion annually. So look, there's a lot of issues. We're working on solutions here in Congress, but ultimately it is going to come down from think tanks and events like Greenpeace is doing tonight. So I'm honored to be a part of this, to talk to you, unfortunately virtually, but also knowing that together, we're going to continue to fight to the end so that we can end human trafficking, forced labor, and abuse that are impacting vulnerable individuals all across the globe. Thanks, everybody.